There has been a lot of discussion online recently because of a particular occurrence that you might have heard about. For those unaware, this is some guy. Apparently, he's an extremely popular K-pop artist. First time I've heard of him. He's the head of a group called Tomorrow X Together. Apparently, he is in big trouble because he made some specific comments about the anime known as Made in Abyss. It's not just him either. We have other people here, like someone named Woozy or Taeyong. I have no idea who any of these people are, but it's important to note that a lot of these comments from these people were during this series' second season over a year ago. So why are people bringing this up now? If I'm being honest with you, I have absolutely no idea. I can find no inciting incident except that a while ago they said that they liked the anime, and that's really about it. For some reason though, the discourse is currently centered around Made in the Prison's content. I just see tweets upon tweets, people saying that they should absolutely unstan. This was a tweet from it, however, during the process of making this video they got suspended because they enjoy this piece of fiction. And one of the artists was even being openly critical about the series' content, saying, "It is not an anime that I want to recommend to you because it's kind of provocative." Very, very damning criticism, I know. But you know, for those that don't know much about Made in Epstein's Island, like myself, it's a series that a lot of people have very specific accusations towards because it allegedly covers topics such as sexual assault or pedophilia. Some people have accused it of being torture porn, and from what I've heard, it definitely does have some extremely questionable content when it comes to the sexualization of minors. Again, I haven't seen it myself, but this is what I hear from people who were or are fans of the series. From what I've seen about this topic, this isn't really about Arrested in Abyss in particular. The series that's being discussed is kind of more so just a vehicle for the general discourse, which is kind of why I feel comfortable talking about this topic to begin with. Since, like I've said, I've never seen the series, however, from what I've heard about it, I probably would not watch it. What this topic is really about is problematic media. This is quite a popular topic of conversation in general online discourse. There's a lot of, how dare you enjoy this thing that has something gross in it, and I think it's fair to criticize media that has problematic elements. I mean, I've made an entire video talking about how Mushoku Tensei is not good. But is it a problem in itself to consume or be a fan of problematic content? Well, what even is problematic? A lot of people might have different answers to that. To some, problematic content would include stuff that endorses terrible ideas like racism, sexism, transphobia, or in this case, pedophilia. Or on the other hand, people find art problematic because fucking pronouns. How dare you? Gay people in my series? I'm so angry. It's a common misconception that controversy surrounding media or art is a newfound thing invented by social media or whatever, or, wokeism or whatever the fuck you people say. Art controversies have been going on since before everybody watching this video was born. Like this giant rainbow structure in Poland that has been routinely criticized by conservative politicians because the, quote, hideous rainbow had hurt the feelings of believers, and as you can see in this picture, frequently gets burned. A big point of conversation with regards to problematic art or politics in art is how much art impacts real life. Depending on who you ask, you may get wildly different answers. Some might say that art is just art. It's just something to consume. Art has no impact on reality. Others believe that art is defined by culture and therefore can also define culture. And those people would be overwhelmingly correct. I feel like this is a particularly important thing to grasp when discussing elements of problematic media. The people who create art, their storytelling decisions, their themes, their motifs, maybe even their art style, so many things can be pinpointed to be defined by their life. Tens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of different life factors can go into understanding how someone came to a certain understanding. Let's say, for example, we have an artist here, right? His name can be Caper. Let's give him fucking really big muscles. He's really sexy, okay? How about that? There you go. How about maybe their living environment growing up, Here's... Oh, that's not good. There's their house. That's an arrow. It's not ideal. Times were tough, This could also play into a part with their relationship with their parents. Maybe you can kind of glean some of that with how they write some of their family dynamics or their life circumstances from growing up. You could even see influences in the shit that they watched on TV all those years ago as a kid before school. or even just their experiences with their friends in class when they were just fucking around. The jokes that they made, the shit that they got up to. The crushing expectations of what to do after high school, or maybe even just their experiences in college. This is a college, it's very large, okay? Geopolitics at the time of them growing up, or, entering the workforce, or becoming an adult. This is exactly what Earth looks like. This is perfect. The culture of even the nation that they were raised in. This is the perfect drawing of America. They can even have different ideas of certain things depending on their religion. The point is, all of these different experiences, all of these different cultures, ideas, politics, all of these things are distilled into their art. Art serves as a focal point that brings movements together or ignites conversations, evolving into dialogues that can change the world. And whether you like it or not, art will almost always include values, philosophies, or ideologies that the author has experienced, themselves becoming points of controversy. Do you think, Cold War era art would be so popular and so massive even in modern day that it's like an aesthetic if this art or, propaganda had absolutely no effect on the people of its time? Do you think a fresco, like Man at the Crossroads, would have sparked so much conversation about anti-capitalist propaganda, the mural itself being entirely unfinished and basically destroyed because Vladimir Lenin was present in the corner? If art did not have the capability to impact the thoughts of our day-to-day. There is valid concern that through art, we can normalize certain ideas. We can set in stone toxic cultural viewpoints. And that's why so many people fight for representation in media, because, for example, women, this might come as a surprise, they might not be very fond of the portrayal of them just being housewives that exists only to be attached to the hip of a male protagonist. Maybe that's not very poggers. They don't want to be seen as only housewives because of what people watched growing up. They don't want to be seen as tools for men's pleasure, and changing the role of women in art is the first step in that direction. So, with this preamble out of the way, we're back to our original question. Is it wrong to enjoy problematic media? As we've demonstrated, problematic media sparks conversation and has the potential to shift public discourse or general consensus in the direction of bad ideas. Let's be entirely 100% honest about something here. Just about everything you consume is going to be problematic in some way. Harry Potter is one of the biggest franchises in the world, and by supporting it, you are supporting Turf Island, the chieftain known as J.K. Rowling. H.P. Lovecraft is one of the most popular horror authors of all time, and let's just say his history is suboptimal. If you enjoy one of the most popular video games in modern day, Red Dead Redemption 2, that was a product of sometimes 100-hour work weeks. If you enjoy My Hero Academia, you support a company that does not give a shit about its workers, and you also support an author who has very milquetoast and ultimately harmful ideas about racism and how to solve it. If you support ReZero, you end up sometimes supporting the normalization of sexual assault being seen as a haha funny thing. I also don't think that we should arbitrarily decide what stories should and should not cover. No subject matter should be off the table for art, as any artist should be able to discuss anything that has meaning to them. A lot of people like to say that, the fact that they're supporting Made in Abyss is bad because it, has extreme violence or potentially uncomfortable topics. And for those reasons alone, in a vacuum, I think limiting subject matter is simply censorship of creative expression. Obviously, you can get into the nitty-gritty about how Made in Abyss executes those things. From what I've heard, it's very, not good. But I think drawing invisible lines in the sand to randomly and chaotically limit artistic expression is inherently anti-intellectual. And of course, I want to stress again, that however does not mean we cannot be critical of portrayals we find to be bad. Just because almost every piece of art you engage in is going to end up being problematic in some way, does not mean you should decide to limit yourself from all art. And at the end of the day, everyone responds differently to that problematic content. Some people opt to avoid certain types of art in general because it, for example, promotes racist or homophobic ideas, and that's fair, you can do that. Some people opt to still consume that art, but generally through piracy, so as not to support the artist or the company. That's also fair. Some people will just continue to engage in it because they work, fucking 40 hours a week. They don't have time to find out about who did what, And, you know, they might not be the most technologically literate, so they don't want to find out how to pirate shit, so they don't want to do all this to avoid supporting a bad dude, so they just continue to engage. And honestly, at times, I also think that's fair. And the fact that this is blown up in K-pop fandoms kind of makes this message all the more ironic, because K-pop is also an extremely problematic industry. There is a specific term in the Korean entertainment industry called slave contracts. Aspiring idols sign contracts as young as 12 years old, and management companies will spend over a decade grooming them to debut on stage, and these children are put in contracts where they are forced to pay back all of the fees associated with training them to debut. So idols usually do not make much money, sometimes not receiving any of the profits made from songs until their debt is paid off. These contracts often create manufactured identities in order to maintain a facade of a, quote, supremely talented and gorgeous single heterosexual star seemingly accessible to fans of the opposite sex. 2 idols were dropped from a place called Cube Entertainment for being involved in romantic relationships. Some idols are forced to maintain a slim figure, like the idol IU, who was put on a diet of 1 apple for breakfast, 1 sweet potato for lunch, and a protein shake for dinner, losing 15 pounds in just a week. Somebody from a group named Pentagon once said that he didn't drink any water for 2 days so that his abs would be sculpted and you wouldn't have water retention. When you become a K-pop idol, you aren't performing as an artist. You are turned to a commodity to be bought and sold by your management company. They take children, lock them into contracts for up to a decade, starve them, overwork them, and from what I've heard, there are even practices of whitening their skin to appear more marketable. I don't want any K-pop fans watching this to think that they should enjoy K-pop, because I think it's fine to do so. What matters to me is that you don't try and make excuses or try to justify the content, as long as you, the viewer, are responsible enough to recognize that a piece of art has done a bad thing, or was produced in bad circumstances, and you don't spend 24 hours a day trying to justify it on Twitter. I don't think there is inherently anything wrong with consuming that type of content, whether it be Made in Abyss, or My Hero Academia, or Re:Zero, or Mushoku Tensei, or K-pop, or literally anything in the entertainment industry. All of these media will be results of certain human beings' biases, and things that might be normalized depending on certain cultures. What people really should do is stop idolizing people because they made art that they enjoy. Artists are just people. This caper guy that we discussed earlier is just a guy. And people, they fuck up. Human beings are not notable for perfection. The author of your favorite series is going to make a mistake. Your favorite creator is going to make a mistake. Your parents are going to make mistakes. Your partners will make mistakes. I will make a mistake. You will make a mistake. It is an inevitable part of the human experience. And because art is a method of human communication and shared experiences, mistakes will make it into art. Do not put humans onto arbitrary pedestals and then act surprised when they act human. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for the funny YouTube algorithm. You can also become a YouTube member, which gives you access to behind-the-scenes content, a badge on comments and livestream chats, as well as the use of emotes and videos before their actual release. You can also check the description for socials like Twitter, where I'm objectively correct all the time, and Discord, where we talk about Re:Zero, My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, and stuff like that. That's about it though. Thank you for watching. See ya.